On December 14, 2023, 6 experienced cavers descended into the Krubera cave system in the Republic of Georgia. What started as an ambitious expedition to map unexplored passages would become a desperate fight for survival, nearly 7,000 feet below the Earth's surface. The team was led by Sarah Chen, a veteran spelunker with over 200 successful deep cave expeditions under her belt. At 42, she had spent more time underground than some miners. Her team included Michael Torres, the group's medical officer and rescue specialist, twins Anna and Eva Petrov, both expert climbers and geological surveyors, Diego Ramirez, their equipment specialist, and James Wilson, a cave photography expert documenting the expedition. The Krubera cave had always commanded respect among the caving community. As the deepest known cave on Earth, its network of tunnels and chambers descended like a giant stone labyrinth into the darkness. The team's goal was to explore and map a newly discovered branch that split off from the main passage at around 6,824 feet, a depth few humans had ever reached. The first 3 days of the descent went exactly as planned. The team established camps at predetermined levels, each one deeper than the last. They moved carefully through the tight squeezes and rappelled down the vertical shafts with practiced precision. Their satellite phone allowed them to check in with base camp every 12 hours. Everything was going smoothly until they reached Camp 4, their final staging area, before attempting to explore the new passage. Base camp. This is Chen, Sarah reported during their last successful communication. We've reached Camp 4 at 6,700 feet. Atmosphere readings are normal. Team is in good spirits. We'll proceed to target passage tomorrow morning. Next check-in scheduled for 2000 hours. That check-in never came. The first sign of trouble came when the team began their approach to the unexplored passage. The cave walls here were different, covered in a strange, almost crystalline formation none of them had seen before. Diego took samples while James photographed the unusual structures. As Ava studied the rock face with her headlamp, she noticed something concerning. "These aren't normal stress fractures," she said, running her gloved hand along a network of thin cracks. "The whole wall looks like it's under immense pressure." Before anyone could respond, they heard it, a low, deep rumble that seemed to come from the very rock itself. Then the ground began to shake. "Cave quake!" Sarah shouted. "Everyone, brace!" The tremor lasted only seconds, but in a cave system this deep, that was all it took. The crystalline walls shattered like glass, sending razor-sharp shards raining down. The team huddled together, protected by their helmets and heavy caving gear. But the worst was yet to come. A massive section of the ceiling collapsed, bringing down tons of rock and debris. When the dust settled, they found themselves cut off from their escape route. The passage back to Camp 4 was completely sealed by the collapse. They were trapped nearly 7,000 feet underground, with limited supplies and no way to contact the surface. "Equipment check now," Sarah ordered, falling back on her years of experience to keep panic at bay. "Everyone, report your status." The team had survived the initial collapse, but their situation was dire. The satellite phone was crushed, 3 of their backup lights were damaged, and half of their food and water supplies were buried in the rubble. Even worse, Diego's air quality meter showed increasing levels of carbon dioxide in their pocket of the cave. The collapse had affected their air supply. "We have maybe 72 hours of breathable air," Diego reported grimly. After that, he didn't need to finish the sentence. They all knew what happened when you ran out of air this deep underground. Sarah quickly assessed their options. They could try to dig through the collapse, but that would likely cause another cave-in. They could wait for rescue, but with no way to communicate with the surface, help might come too late. Their only other choice was to press forward into the unexplored passage, hoping it might lead to another way out. "We move forward," Sarah decided. "This passage has to go somewhere. Caves this deep usually have multiple routes to the surface. It's our best chance." What followed was a harrowing journey into the unknown. The team pushed deeper into the new passage, marking their route with reflective tape as they went. The tunnel twisted and turned, sometimes so narrow they had to crawl on their bellies through the cold mud. Other times, it opened into vast chambers where their headlamps couldn't reach the ceiling. By hour 36, they were rationing their remaining water and fighting exhaustion. The air was getting thinner, and everyone was feeling the effects of the increasing carbon dioxide levels. James had developed a persistent cough, and Eva was showing signs of confusion, early symptoms of hypoxia. Then Anna made a discovery that changed everything. While examining the wall of a small chamber for possible routes, she felt a slight breeze. the first movement of air they had detected since the collapse. "There's airflow!" she called out, her voice hoarse but excited. "It's coming from up there." Above them, barely visible in their dimming headlamps, was a narrow fissure about 20 feet up the chamber wall. The breeze meant it had to connect to the surface somehow. It was their only hope. With their remaining strength, they rigged a climbing line. The passage was barely wide enough for a person to squeeze through, and they had no idea how far it went. Sarah insisted on going first. If the passage was unstable, she wouldn't risk losing another team member. The fissure turned out to be a natural chimney that angled upward at about 60 degrees. Sarah climbed for what felt like hours, her muscles screaming in protest. Just when she thought she couldn't go any further, she saw something that brought tears to her eyes, a faint glimmer of natural light. The chimney connected to a small cave that opened onto the side of the mountain, nearly a mile from where they had originally entered the system. One by one, the team emerged into the sunlight. They were dehydrated, exhausted, and half suffocated, but alive. The date was December 18th, 2023. They had spent 96 hours trapped underground, pushed their bodies to the absolute limit, and somehow found their way back to the surface against impossible odds. In the aftermath, their story would become legendary in the caving community. The crystalline formations they discovered were later found to be a previously unknown mineral formation, created by extreme pressure and unique geological conditions. The new passage was named the Phoenix Route, a path born from disaster that led to salvation. Sarah Chen never returned to the Krubera cave, but she didn't stop caving. When asked why she continues to venture underground after such a near-fatal experience, her answer is always the same. The cave didn't try to kill us. It showed us another way out. That's the thing about caves. They always have secrets to share, if you're willing to look for them. Today, the Phoenix Road is marked with permanent safety lines and emergency supplies. A memorial plaque at its entrance reads, "Dedicated to the 6 who went into the darkness and found their way back to the light." It serves as both a warning and a reminder that even in the deepest darkness, there's always hope of finding a way through.